Our next person I'm excited to have on, I've known her for a few years now, and she really is one of the unsung heroes here in the Metro Detroit area. When you want to talk about animals, we all love animals, but sadly, there's a lot of abuse with some of the animals, and she saves as many as she can. She is a fireball. Theresa Sumpter with us here on the MegaCast. She's the executive director and founder of the Detroit Pit Crew. It is so great to see you again. How are you?
Good to see you, Ronnie. We're doing very well. Thank you.
And Theresa knows me. That's why she has puppies.
Yes, I do.
Oh, I wish they were here in the studio.
That'd be great.
You have to come by and pet them. They love to get pets.
Oh, Theresa, for those not familiar with the Detroit Pit Crew, give us a little bit of background.
So Detroit Pit Crew is actually an emergency street crew. We operate on the streets of Detroit. We pick up strays, for the most part, that are severely injured or sick, and we're an assisting agency to several police departments.
Who's that?
We hold animals. We have two little boys here, Cain and Abel. They were rescued a few weeks ago. Their mom had rejected them, and so they're here with us. And I have my niece Kaya here with me helping today.
Hi, niece.
So yeah, Kaya's here. She's hanging out with us for a little bit this summer. So she's planning to be a veterinarian.
Wow, you are definitely hanging with the right person to get experience. And, Theresa, being out on the streets of Detroit, you've seen some heartbreaking and horrifying scenes through the years. How do you keep going?
I just try to focus on our mission. So our mission really is to rescue just as many dogs as we can. We know that we can't save them all. Sometimes all we can really do is put them out of their misery. But we just try to stay focused. I pray a lot, and I just try to do the best I can. Leave the rest up to God.
Why'd you even decide to start this way back in the beginning?
We started when I was asked to assist a Detroit police officer. She was trying to trap a dog that was very injured. And so I said, oh, okay, I think I can go out and help. They wanted, the rescue who asked me to help wanted to know, did I think the dog was aggressive or not aggressive? I was doing some training for some of the rescues. So I went to Detroit. I'd never been there before. And I met the police officer on 6 Mile. And we kind of, I was out there and I was looking around, and she pointed the dog out to me. And there was not just one dog running around that needed help, but there was numerous dogs running around. We saw about 5 to 6 dogs running around. And I asked her, I said, well, where did these dogs come from? She said, people just left them behind. And I said, what do you mean people left them behind? She said, they just moved and left their dogs behind. And I never knew anybody did that. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, who's helping these dogs? How do they get food and things? She said she had no definitive answer. So she said, I tried to rescue a few, but she really didn't tell me who was out here picking these dogs up. And right then that day I said, I'm going to start a street crew, and we're going to start coming out here. We're going to pick these dogs up, and we're going to get them to safety. And that was about almost 8 years ago now. And since then, we've rescued over 3,000 dogs from the streets of Detroit. We've now participated in numerous animal cruelty and abuse, neglect cases. And so, my eyes were really, after that day, my eyes were really open to the plight of the stray dogs in Detroit. And since then, we've been doing our best to make a difference for these dogs.
But with that, sometimes because of the things that you have seen, do you almost wish you wouldn't have started this?
No, I think that to start with, if I would have known what I was taking on, it would have been very intimidating to me, because when we got started, there was literally thousands, an estimated tens of thousands of stray dogs running the streets. And I didn't realize how prevalent animal abuse and neglect was, especially in the city of Detroit. So if I would have known at the time really what I was taking on, it would have been super intimidating to me. And I'm not sure, I probably would have felt overwhelmed, but just one day at a time, one step at a time, we pushed through and really tried to make a difference in the city.
So with that, in the middle of the pandemic, the need to help these dogs doesn't stop. So how have you been doing over the past year?
So, the pandemic really was a very challenging time for us, as it was for everybody. One of the things that we were affected by is that, a lot of the veterinarians that we use, the veterinary hospitals that we would normally use, they went to, half staff, or they didn't have as many, openings for us as they normally would, because their staff went low. They weren't able to board dogs for us or anything like that. And so that really became a challenge for us, because once we pick up a dog that's been shot, it's been hit by a car, it's been severely neglected, and now we need a veterinarian really to assess the dog. A lot of the veterinarians we would normally use weren't able to see us, so that was truly a challenge. We did find an emergency vet where we take the majority of our animals as Advanced Animal Emergency. Put a shout out to them. Thank you, Advanced. They've really been heroes for us, lifesavers. And so, we take a lot of our dogs. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're open to us, all the time. So thanks to them, we were able to kind of push through. But it even became a challenge then because, they also were seeing regular clients at the same time. And they had to shut down a couple of times due to COVID exposure. So during their shutdowns, it was really a challenge for us.
Oh, but yet you keep going and you're doing this, and you're mainly just, funded through donations?
Yeah, we are funded solely through donations. Yes, we get no grants, we get no government funding, no state funding, nothing like that.
So with that, how's it been over the past year? Are donations up or down?
It was a struggle at first. We did end up doing, we were able to pay our bills and we did well. This year, it's really been a struggle. The donations have dropped, and we know that, a lot of people are struggling with the rippling effect of not working, losing businesses, losing their houses, losing their income, and, just some people having medical bills and things like that. So, we always are in need of funding, and if people want to donate, they can do that by going to DetroitPetFood.com.
So, hey, Theresa, what's your niece's name again?
Taya.
Say, how are you doing with the puppy?
Well, I'm struggling a little bit.
I like to let her hold the ones that cry a lot because she likes those the best. He has a lot to say.
Most definitely. You're very boisterous there, little one. What's it been like you to hang out with your aunt and learn about all of the things that she's doing?
It's been a lot of fun. You see a certain image on social media, and when you get here, it's definitely more real. We got a dog that was shot, and it's a lot different in person than what you see on social media, and it's a great experience.
How old are you?
15.
See, I think you were already on your way to success, because at 15, getting involved and then knowing that what field you want to go in, this is real life and real experience, and you'll remember this for the rest of your life. And, Theresa, I know that you're still such a champion out there each and every day, but some of the things I don't know how you recover from seeing. They've been pretty horrific.
You've actually been on some of our scenes, Ronnie, and I know one in particular that still to this day, it is hard to process, and hard to think about, it's undescribable, right? It was very difficult to see. It was a situation in which we found deceased dogs in a house. Many had been cut up and things. And, you just can't imagine what those dogs went through prior to death. And, in my mind, what could we have done to have prevented this? Is there, how to stop this from happening in the future? And it is difficult. It really is. Like I said, I pray, I try to focus on what our end game is. And our end game is to save as many of these dogs as we can and prevent this from happening to other animals. And I just try to stay focused and, ignore the other things that may distract us from what really our ultimate goal is.
So, yeah. Theresa, I know that in the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of shelters were emptied. So many people were adopting dogs and cats and animals, which was a great thing. But as we start to emerge from the pandemic, people start to go back to work, or the ones that lost their homes. Are you worried that you're going to start seeing some of those animals abandoned again?
I am worried about that. And right now, we get about 30 to 40 calls a day with people trying to turn over their dogs to us. And sometimes not one dog, but multiple dogs. So I am very concerned that people are going to just start dumping their dogs, that they do have to go back to work, or they lost their house, or they had, a change in their life situation. And I am very concerned about people just dumping their dogs, yes.
So with that, I know that you're not a rescue per se, where you're taking them into a shelter. Yeah. How does it work once you get these cute little furry things? How do you get them adopted out then?
So we have 21 partner organizations. So we did realize early on that, because we're on duty pretty much 24/7, we're responding to emergencies all the time on the streets of Detroit, or we're responding to situations in which law enforcement has called us in. We did find partner organizations that adopt out the dogs that we rescue. So once these dogs are off stray hold, they're medically cleared, they've been temperament tested. We have 21 partner organizations, and they help us by adopting out the dogs that we've rescued. So, and that's super helpful, because then we're not running around doing home checks. We're not, processing adoption applications, and trying to choose which is the best home for this dog, and going and making sure that the dog has now acclimated to their new home. So we have partner organizations that take care of that for us. And that's super helpful for us. But we do know that even them, they're telling us that they're getting returns now from the dogs that have been adopted out, or they have a lot of people contacting them trying to, surrender dogs into their care, which is very difficult, because, sometimes I feel like people think that rescues are, a safety net for their dogs, and that's not the case. A lot of times these rescues are run by people who work full-time jobs and then also do rescue on the side, and have to beg for money just like we do, and they're not government funded. They don't have an unlimited amount of money to pay for all the care that these dogs require. They have a limited amount of space and resources, and so we know that a lot, not just us, but our partner organizations are also struggling right now.
So what advice would you give to someone that does rescue one of these dogs? Because sometimes the puppies are cute, but if you get an older dog, they can come with challenges.
Yes. Yeah, they can. The puppies come with challenges as well. So with puppies, you have to plan on taking care of that dog for the remainder of the dog's life. So that could be 10, 15 years. We don't know how long. The dog may live a very long time. And so when they get older and they have medical needs, you have to plan for that. And even, the senior dogs as well. When you adopt a senior dog, they may need time to get acclimated. It takes, a moment for them to get into a routine. And we want people to understand that these dogs are not, they shouldn't be considered discardable. These dogs are family members. They should be treated as family members. When they're old and they're sick, that's when they really need you probably the most. We had somebody today reaching out to us trying to give us, a 10-year-old dog that I guess they had a, lifestyle change, that they can no longer keep the dog. And it's very unfortunate, because that dog will be very hard to find a place for now, because he's older. And it's really not fair to the dog. Especially if they've been with the family their entire lives, that's their family. So it's very disheartening and sad when we know, and we do understand there's certain situations in which people just cannot keep their animals. We do understand that, but we do ask that people try their best to keep their animals with them.
And too, a lot of times we don't talk about the conversation if something were to happen to a person, what should happen with your pets. And, we do that for kids, but we never do it for our pets. And, with COVID, there were people that passed away from the virus, and then their pets were abandoned as well. And so you really need to have those conversations with your family and your friends. Who's going to take your dog in the event something happens?
Right. And when you have multiple animals, there's been people that have passed and they have multiple cats and dogs, and then the family's kind of like, well, what do we do with these animals now? So that is something that definitely needs to be discussed. It's good to, have a will together and, have that down in writing so that everybody understands what is to happen to these animals in the event of, the owner no longer being there to take care of them. Yeah.
So with that, Theresa, you've been on the streets for 8 years, you said now. I know there is a big education campaign that, has really been underway for years now to try to educate people about owning pets, the responsible pet ownership, and also trying to address dog fighting and neglect within the city of Detroit. Do you see things changing, or is it pretty much the same?
I would say that I have seen some things change for the better. I would say that we still have a long way to go, though. We know that dog fighting in Detroit is still rampant. We know there's pockets of areas where we know for sure that the same people that were dog fighting 8 years ago are dog fighting today. So they get arrested, and usually it's not just for dog fighting. It's usually a number of different crimes that they're arrested for. Dog fighting is low man on the totem pole when it comes to charging them and actually seeing a prosecution, and then they're back out doing the same thing. Dog fighting for some of these people is very lucrative. And so that's the way they make their living. And they're really not going to stop unless there's more serious consequences.
And I know that there has been legislation and the talk like it will make a headline for a while because just attending a dog fight is a felony. But however, and like you said, so many of these cases, they make plea deals. And
they make plea deals, they're not properly charged. They're like, it's not worth processing the dog fighting part. A lot of these people, they're going to jail on other things along with the dog fighting normally. And so, I guess they feel like the crime that they're least, law enforcement, I feel like, is least concerned about probably would be the dog fighting. But I do think that we've come a long way. So I do think that there is progress being made. It's slower than what we would hope for. And we do hope that in the future we will continue to see people charged with and prosecuted for crimes against animals, whether it's dog fighting or whether it's just severe abuse. And we hope that there'll be less plea deals and more actual people seeing jail time and seeing some more serious consequences for these actions towards these animals.
Kayla, it looks like you have the magic touch over there with the puppy.
You've got to quiet down now.
Hey, Theresa, how can people find out more? Because I would imagine you always need donations, but also volunteers.
Yes, definitely. So if anybody wants to contact us, they can, again, go to DetroitPitCrew.com. That's our website. There's an email on there where you can contact us. And, if you just want to contact us and come take a tour of our intake facility. We do not have a shelter. A lot of people think we have a shelter. We don't. A lot of people think we're specifically a pit bull rescue. We're not a pit bull rescue. We work in Motor City, so we're called Pit Crew. So we will rescue any breed of dog. But if people want to just come and take a tour of our facility and learn more about us, they can contact us through our website at DetroitPitCrew.com.
Theresa, it's great talking to you again.
Good talking with you too, Ronnie. Good seeing you. You look great.
I want to see the puppies though. I like that puppy breath. I love puppy breath.
You need to come in and see us.
We definitely need to catch up. And again, Theresa, though, I will say, you have saved so many dogs and you've helped so many of them as well. You really are one of the heroes of Detroit. And so we want to say thank you for all that you do as well.
Well, thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate that.